Hello, this is Tim Conerson. This is book 2 for July 2020. I hesitate on the dates because the time is moving so quickly. We're moving through these months, we're moving through this summer. Everybody's anxious too for the fall. We don't know what's going to happen, but I'm trying to build as much material for all you parents and all you people who need to homeschool. I'm trying to be that resource. It's institution time. We protested, and that's what we're building here. Okay, so let's get into it. Pike's system was based on the so-called Scottish Rite. With 33 degrees, there were to be two supreme councils, one for the northern jurisdiction and another for the southern jurisdiction. The names northern and southern jurisdiction were not strictly accurate, for the northern jurisdiction was restricted not only to the Grand Lodges north of the Mason-Dixon line, but also to those east of the Ohio River, with all the Grand Lodges to the south and west of this area being in the southern jurisdiction. Although the majority of white mainstream lodges adopt Pike's Scottish Rite, others adopt the York Rite. These lodges are in friendly relations with lodges of the Scottish Rite. There is also an organization officially called the Ancient Arabic Order of Nobles of the Mystic Shrine, which is popularly called the Shriners. It was founded in the state of New York in 1870. Only Freemasons who have reached the 32nd degree in Scottish Rite or who have become Knights Templars in the York Rite are eligible to join the Shriners. It is considered to be the highest form of Masonry in the United States, but it is not recognized by English Grand Lodge or any foreign Grand Lodge, which do not maintain visiting relations with it. Interesting. Very interesting. There is a Grand Lodge of Ancient, Free, and Accepted Masons, the mainstream White Lodge. In every state, in most states, though not in all, there is the most worshipful Prince Hall Grand Lodge of Free and Accepted Masons. There are 18 additional Grand Lodges in New York, 14 in Texas, 12 in California, 9 in Louisiana, 7 in Georgia, 6 in Ohio, 5 in Pennsylvania, and at least 2 others. Apart from the Scottish Rite and the Prince Hall Grand Lodge, in each of all except 9 of other states, whereas in England there is one United Grand Lodge. In the United States there are 246 Grand Lodges, perhaps more. Remember, this is an older book. Might be more, might be less. And I don't know what this new world order is going to do to organizations like this, what COVID's going to do to organizations like this. By 1903, 12 years after Pike's death, the number of Freemasons in the United States had risen from 66,142 in 1850 to 860,128. They were about to enter the period of their greatest influence. At the end of the 19th and beginnings of the 20th century, the British Freemasons produced a vivid figure, King Edward VII. At the same time, the American Freemasons produced a quite different but equally vivid figure, Theodore Roosevelt. He was born into the wealth and respected New York State family of the Roosevelts, who had been prominent in New York life and society for 200 years. Born in New York City in 1858, he spent most of his childhood on his father's estate in Oyster Bay on Long Island Sound, where he engaged in sports involving vigorous physical exercise, swimming, rowing, and horseback riding. At Harvard University, he became prominent as a boxer. After graduation, he went to England, where he joined the Alpine Club in London, and later in Switzerland climbed the Jungfrau and the Matterhorn before returning to New York to practice law. He entered politics and became prominent in the Republican Party. When the Republican William McKinley was elected President of the United States in 1896, he appointed Roosevelt to be Assistant Secretary of the Navy. The administration was confronted with the threat of war between the United States and Spain as a result of their conflict of interest in Cuba, and Roosevelt, who strongly supported the war, prepared the Navy for action. When war began, he enlisted in a cavalry regiment from New York and went to Cuba. Attaining the rank of colonel, he was in command of the regiment at the Battle of San Juan Hill. He dismounted from his horse and led the infantry in a charge up a hill, which the Americans captured after suffering heavy losses. This exploit confirmed the popularity he had already acquired by his colorful personality. The British historian James Bryce, who knew Roosevelt and was appointed British ambassador in Washington when Roosevelt was president, wrote that he was a figure throbbing with life who becomes the hero, almost the personal friend of a multitude who admire his force and love his breezy ways. When McKinley ran for his second term as president in 1900, Theodore Roosevelt was elected as his vice president. McKinley was assassinated by an Italian anarchist in September 1901, and Roosevelt became the youngest president of the United States at the age of 43. At the end of his term, he was re-elected in 1904 with the largest popular vote that any U.S. president had ever received. Yet, he announced he would not run for a second term in 1908 and supported the candidature of his Secretary of War, William Howard Taft. After Taft succeeded him as president in March 1909, Roosevelt went on to visit England and Africa. So, there goes some of the politics or the politicians of the Freemasons. And Theodore Roosevelt was very decent. I think Republicans are going to have to go back to people like Lincoln, people like Theodore Roosevelt, if they want to survive. No, they weren't perfect. Of course, they were prejudiced, but they made space for others in this society. And remember, the United States is a very big place, so there is room for us. So, anyway, I think that we need to know about these kind of organizations and their history, because they have been filled with people with power who are managing institutions and structures in our society. Until next time, please take care of your mind, take care of your body, and be safe.